Welcome to Access the Podquest. This is a special correction or clarification episode. Going to be very short, but very important. I really want to go back and correct something that I've been doing wrong, at least in a couple of episodes. The episodes are The Magic That Already Is, and the strangeness problem, perhaps also including the bonus coverage for the strangeness problem. And I did something in those episodes that was factually incorrect, and it's important to me to correct the record and make sure that everyone knows that this is really how it should be. And what I'm talking about is when I refer to subatomic particles in those episodes, when you're talking about electrons, photons, things that are low, smaller than an atomic level. I said in those episodes that when you get to that level, those things are not real. Okay. And in fact, I actually, as you might recall, if you watch the episode of The Magic That Already Is, I used that concept to sort of create an analogy, if you will, to imaginary friends. And that might not be as tight of an analogy as I'd like it to be, because the idea that electrons and photons and things at the at the subatomic particle level. And when I say that they're not real, that's incorrect. What they are is they are actually in a superposition of all possible states. And I know I mentioned that in these episodes, but this is where the clarification really becomes important. It's not that the particles are not real. It's that they don't have a classical statement, or they don't have a classical expression until they interact with something else, or they're measured, or they're observed. And let me give you a good example. I was just doing this prior to getting on the air now. Take this quarter. If you flip the coin up, it will rotate over and over and over again. And during that rotation period, if we analogize to what's happening at the electron level or the subatomic particle level prior to its being observed or prior to its interaction, think of it as being this spinning quarter and this spinning quarter being in both the heads and tails position at the same time. That's what's happening at the subatomic level with particles that are that small. They're in a superposition of all possible states until they are observed or until they interact with something else, and then they become either heads or tails. I hope I got that right. I didn't. But anyway, you get the point. That is what I mean by, and that's kind of where I was going with the idea that these things are not real until they're observed. They are real. All right, so I got it wrong. They are real, but they are not in one classical state until they interact with their environment, are observed or measured, and it's a critical difference. So the whole thing with the imaginary friends, I'm going to keep that because I kind of still like it, but that's a kind of a bit of poetic license, if you will. But nevertheless, when you watch those episodes, or if you can go back and watch those episodes, please do, and with that idea in mind, that correction is necessary, and I'm glad that I made it.